Paola is a PhD researcher on sovereign women's art, matriarchy, healing and protective practices. She's the inaugural Lisa Belair Indigenous Research Scholarship holder. Since establishing the Indigenous Arts and Cultural Program at Footscray Community Arts Centre in 2010, her work has appeared in Etchings Indigenous, The Lifted Brow, Peril Magazine and The Victorian Writer. Most recently, Paola curated and executed at City Gallery and co-curated The Amazing Sovereignty at ACCA. Please welcome our first speaker for tonight, Paola Barlow.
Thank you, darling, thank you. I acknowledge the beautiful Kulin country that we are on and the Wurundjeri and Boonwurrung peoples. This is my birthplace and I'm very proud to be born in Footscray on this country. It's also the birthplace of my children, who are both amazing babes. Rosie Gilbert, who's in the front row here, extraordinary makeup artist. Check her on Instagram. I'm such a proud mother. I love gassing her up every chance I get, because that's what you should do. And yeah, she's very talented. And my son, Caden, who just turned 13 on the weekend, is having his own discovery of black music at the moment, and wants to be an MC and got his first little turntable. So I'm just loving what he's doing. And they both inspire me incredibly. So thanks for being here, Rosie. There are so many amazing babes that I could talk about. It's really hard to choose, actually, because I was raised by an incredible number of them. But I think I'd be really disrespectful if I didn't bring it back to my mother. And I do that because our relationship has not been a straightforward one. Like many of us, we have very conflicted relationships with our mothers. And if you've got an Aboriginal mother, you know something. You get taught something, you get schooled every day, you get told off when it's necessary, and you get the life frightened out of you as well when it's necessary. And my mother is the great-granddaughter of Papa Mariah Day and the granddaughter of Nanny Nancy Day, who was one of the last speakers of the Wemba Wemba language. She's very influential, powerful women for me, great matriarchs, sovereign women who never ceded their country and taught us to do the same. And my mother is the daughter of Rosie, who was an artist, who I named my daughter after, a poet, and we lost her to breast cancer in 1992 when I was 19 years old, and I still miss her every single day. But her art informs me, and her fight. She was slut-shamed once by a drunk cousin at a party, and she picked up a poker at the side of the fire and clocked him at the side of the head with it. Yeah. So she taught me to never put up with shit, and nor did my mother. So my mother carries a bundi, so that's a big fighting club for non-Aboriginal people. For everybody else, it's a fighting club about this big, made out of solid redwood, and it's got a big bulbous end and a sharp point and then a handle. So my mother kept this with her at all times. She kept it under the seat of our Ford Fairmont that she had throughout the 1980s. Most of the time we didn't have any petrol in it and we had to push it. But it was ours, and she got it because she won Tats Lotto. She won $12,000 in 1991, and that was like everything to us. And God bless her, she gave me $500 out of that, and I went to Greville Street and I bought myself a pair of 501s. Who remembers 501s in the 90s? A belt and a beautiful white shirt with roses embroidered all over it, and I just thought I was eating a bit. My brother spent almost every dollar on a pair of Nike Air Jordans with the pump and one t-shirt for $500. But he was the best dressed kid in the Chuka. He wore them till they fell apart, and there was just like little puffs of smoke coming out of them. But he rocked them hard. But my mother, is a fighter, and she still is. And she's gone home to live in a little country town called Kyabram in the Goulburn Valley, in Yorta country. And I don't just mean emotionally or figuratively that she's a fighter. She used that club in fights. She used it to drag my brother out of the milk bar when he was wagging school playing the pinnies. She snuck up behind him and grabbed the back of his shirt and hit him across the legs with that stick. It was in 1989. And she shamed him all the way back to the car. he did go on to WAG again, but not for a while. And she also took on white women when it was necessary, you know, because she had a lot of really good white female friends, but there are times when their indifference was quite cruel and when they didn't see that they needed to pull back. And one of these times we're waiting for fish and chips on pension day. If you grow up with a poor single mother, pension day is everything. It's the day you get fish and chips, you hire videos. We didn't even have a video machine, so we would hire the machine from the video shop for $10 and we would have it from Friday to Sunday. So that was our special times. And she'd get us blocks of Cadbury chocolate and fish and chips. So we're waiting for these fish and chips with my other auntie in the car, 5 kids in the back of the Ford Fairmont. And my brother starts walking around this old planter box. And this is at the Crossingvale shops in Echuca, and we lived in the Housing Commission area. So it was only black fellas and poor white fellas up there. And we're waiting for our fish and chips. And my brother starts walking around this planter. And there's nothing in the planter but dirt and a few weeds. And this white woman comes out and she starts yelling at my brother to get off there, that he was destroying all the plants in it. So my mother gets out of the car and she chases this woman. And the woman started to run around the planter. My brother's in the middle of the planter. The white woman goes around. My brother goes around. My mum goes around. My auntie gets out and they start going around. Like a whirlwind of black women. Anger. You know, you touch our kids, you touch us. We chased her in her car. She ran to her car in the car park. We then jumped back in the car. I'm begging Mum not to do it, and we're driving laps through the car park. We followed this woman back to her house, and she just made it up her driveway into her front door and slammed the door shut before my mother got to her. But these are the kind of things that, you know, an amazing babe black mother will do for you. She will fight for you. And the other thing she did was survive. You know, she had to survive a lot of really intense things, things that are her story that I won't speak about, but that taught me how to survive, and things that she took time to be able to tell me. She couldn't tell me straight away because they're things that bring on shame. But the things that she did to help us survive were that she was a shearer's cook, a hotel cook, a riverboat chef. She became a masseuse. She was the first drag artist that I ever saw. She used to embody a man, an Italian man, to entertain Aboriginal women in Echuca at country balls. Rosie, under that seat in my basket, there are a couple of pictures. Would you mind passing them around? Just so you can get a visual of my mum. I'll pass these around. I know I've just got a couple of minutes left, but I want you to see her. Just on the floor next to you. Yeah, thank you. So she's a drag artist. She picked tomatoes, she picked potatoes. She would come home with dirt under her fingernails, all over her face, bone tired, exhausted. She would drag herself into the house and have a hot bath to wash the dirt off, and her car would be coated in dust. She was a waitress at the pub until she couldn't stand being groped anymore by the white drunk men, and she told the boss to shove the job up their ass. She was a poet, and she was a letter writer, and she was an activist. She took on the whole town of Echuca in 1991 for racism when the hotel she was cooking in, I told her to keep out the Abbo that was my grandmother who was visiting us at the time. And so Mum called up, after telling the publican to shove it up his ass, she called up SBS, Channel 7, ABC, can't remember, the regional television stations up there at the time. And I ended up showing SBS around town and doing vox pops with white people. And they would say things like, "We're not racist, we have Abos that live next door to us. And as long as they behave themselves like white people, it's okay." So my mum featured in The Age, you know, at that time, and she was just an absolute hero to me. And we've had our differences, but, you know, she's fucking staunch, and she's so proud. And she taught me how to rock and roll dance. She was a rodeo queen. She was a beauty queen, as you'll see from the picture. She was Miss Teenage Aboriginal Echuca Queen at the Beauty Quest in 1968, and the prize for her at the time was a box of groceries and a watch and a sash, and the dress that she wore my grandmother made from a pattern that she sent away to the city. She's an all-round babe, and she's an absolute inspiration to me, and she's also been a stand-up comedian amongst other things. But I really want to thank her. I wish she was here tonight, but she's a bit crook with diabetes and she can't always be around for these things, but she's always with me in spirit, and I love her dearly. Her name is Margie Tang, and she's an absolute babe, so thank you.
So next up we have the amazing Jasmeet Sahi. Jasmeet is a Melbourne-based writer and producer. She moved from India to Melbourne 5 years ago to study creative writing and has written for the ABC, Arts Hub, Eureka Street, Peril Magazine and the Stella Prize. Her interests are in the arts, feminism, food, migration and social justice. In February this year, she produced the Melbourne version of the Jaipur Literature Festival, JLF at Melbourne. Please welcome Jasmeet Kaur Sahi.
Thank you. Thanks, Paula. That was very moving, and it's terrifying going after her. Hi, friends. Thank you for coming tonight. Thank you, EWF, for putting me alongside such wonderful talent. It's a little terrifying, if I'm being honest. Tonight, we are gathered on the unceded lands of the Kulin Nation. I'd like to acknowledge my ignorance of the depth of this fact at the time of applying for a student visa to come and study here. This ignorance is on me. Until I arrived here, I had no idea of what it means to learn, to live without context. But by no means am I equating my experience. I'm only finding ways to understand. This land that I live on and work on is a land that was stolen from the people who lived on it. It's a land I thrive on. And these people, who were the 100% population of this land, are now less than 3%. And that means something. Those numbers mean something. By migrating here, I recognize my part in the coiled scheme that keeps that percentage so low. I accept my debt to those past, present, and future. I promise to not forget this. And in doing this, I acknowledge the power and privilege of my position in even being able to say these words. Lately, I have been thinking a lot about elders, especially elders who are women. With this, I've had thoughts about lineage and how we are formed from these women elders, quite literally by the process of birth. How much of their stories shape us, but how much of those stories do we know? In my mother tongue, Punjabi, women elders are called Biji, Beji, or Naniji, or Dadiji, which means paternal or maternal grandmother. The G in the end, which is a J and I, is a term of endearance or respect. Isn't it wonderful for a language to accommodate for a word of respect in it? I often wonder if the English language has such a term. I call my grandmothers Nanima and Dadima. And again, it's the wonder of the language to be able to attach ma at the end for a female relation so that you can feel closer to them. Now, before I launch into what I came prepared with today, I want to give you a brief context of what's to come. So I'm not very sure of how many of you are aware, but can I have a show of hands of how many of you have heard of the partition of India in 1947, August? Okay, a fair bit. I'll just briefly. So India was part of the British Empire for nearly 200 years, before the British had their fill and decided to go back to where they came from, or something like that. But before they left, like all good people, they left us with a gift. They split the country into two, roughly, and I mean very roughly. Divided on one side with the Muslim-rich Pakistan, and on the other side with the Hindu-rich India. But these two nations had millions of minorities, like Christians and Parsis and Sikhs and Buddhists, and so on, who had to kind of, in a matter of 2 days, decide which side they wanted to live on. The partition of India in August 1947 displaced nearly 14 million people. Almost 2 million people died as a result of disease, sectarian violence of the most horrific kind, and starvation while crossing the border as refugees, seeking shelter. My grandparents were for those people. My grandmother's, my dadima, my father's mother, was in her teens, and my mother's mother, my nanima, was 8 at the time, and they lived in Pakistan at that time and had to cross to India. In my few years that I've been trying to write, I have often gone back to the experiences and lives of my grandmothers and my grandparents. I don't know if it's an atavistic sense of responsibility to be a filial scribe, or if it's an urge to root my history, but these are difficult pasts, pasts that bring up pain and memories of a time that my grandmothers don't necessarily want to remember. And they have chosen to press down their histories so that the foundation of their future generations is stable and compact and creaseless. They have looked ahead and moved on. I haven't spent much time growing up around them. My relationship was via school holidays, and I never lived in the same city with them. But in the past decade or so, I've wanted to ask them about their pasts. And both my grandfathers at the time had lots to tell, who they were, and their childhood pranks, and who they were as young men, and what happened to them post-partition. But as always, it is the stories of the women that remain in the corners of the house like cobwebs, present and untouched. So here I am, trying to unearth some answers. Tell me, how did you feel when you heard the news? You didn't even get a chance to say goodbye. You were already removed. Were you thinking of the Chinese honeysuckle in your garden? It would have been in full bloom in August, when the country was cut into two. It would have turned that deep pink, Rani pink, ready to fall on the ground with the first wash of rain. Is this why you planted it in the new home that you built? But the petals, they shed a lot, right? That made you upset at the mess that made. So is this why you cut it away again? The mess of the Rani pinks every monsoon season? Or was it something else? Every memory has its thorns. 70 years ago, you were 8. Tell me, how did it feel when you walked behind your mother, carrying smoked chanas and rice through the thick snow for more than a week? You were 8. Could you feel your feet? Were you scared? How cold was it? Did you remember to wear the correct shoes? Did you have the correct shoes? How high was the snow? Was it slushy and soft? Or hard and unrelenting, like the men who divided the nation? Did you think of them as you made your way into a country that you did not know when you were 8? You see, her story is history, his story, and our story, a collective story. Her story is history, but history is not her story. His, him, he. Why? Even though when we all know that we come from her, him also, but shaped and formed in her, by her, of her, from her. But democracy is masculine. It needs divided countries and split homes. When men make decisions that a land can't be one and cut her up into two, so the people can live full in their faith, that's history, his story. Because if it were hers, it would be different. Until the songs of our elders have not been sung out of our bones, new songs will not birth well. I don't have the answers to these questions. I don't know if I ever will, but I know resilience is my lineage. Both my grandmothers don't know that I'm writing to them in this way. One of them is mourning the loss of her partner of 67 years, and the other, who crossed the border to India aged 8 through thick snow, has just had both her knees operated. Please send them your love and pray they give me the keys to their stories one day. Thank you for listening.
That was really amazing. I'm really touched. Thank you so much, Jasmeet. That was so beautiful. Next, we have the wonderful Azri Zakia. Azri is a 25-year-old Indonesian fiction writer who published her first novel at the age of 15. With the dream of becoming a science fiction author, at university, Azri studied physics and medical physics. And by the age of 24, had already published 6 novels, 8 anthologies, and 1 account of personal literature. In 2016, Azri was part of the Indonesian Emerging Writers Program at UGUD Writers and Readers Festival, and was selected for the Indonesian Ministry of Education's Writer in Residence program in Australia. Please welcome Azri.
Thank you, Arjit. So touching. Jasmeet. Hi, everyone. Thank you for the man on the right table for keeping my phone.
No worries.
Okay, good evening. Selamat malam in Indonesian. Okay, I'm not going to talk about Kung Fu Panda again. Tonight, I choose to just read my letter to someone. A letter to a mother, but not my mother. I would like to read my letter to our all's mother, the first feminine soul in the world, Eve. Mother Eve. I wish I do not mispronounce it. In Indonesia, we call her Hawa. And in Arabic, we call her Hawa. And in Hebrew, we call her Hava, which means life. Since we don't know her appearance, as she is the source of our race, I'm sure that she is the combination of all of us, of our skins, our hairs, our faces. Then, to make it easy, I suggest you to just imagine her as Gal Gadot. Just kidding. Okay, letter to Eve. Melbourne, 19th of June, 2017. Dear Eve, I am Azri, your children's children. All the time in life, I have always been feeling jealous to you, because you are the only woman in the world that had never felt jealous in your whole life. You are the only woman in the world who became the one and only for a man. If some boys nowadays says that we are their one and only, we don't believe that, because they surely lie. So, you are the only woman in the history that is never being cheated on. You did not need to wait for the prince, because there's only one king and you were the one and only queen. I envy you, because you didn't have to be afraid of being ugly. All girls want to be precious and beautiful, but you didn't even think about that, because you were the most precious and the most beautiful girl in the world that time. Mother Eve, in history, you have a son named King Shah Jahan, who built a giant beautiful building called Taj Mahal for a woman he worshipped, Queen Mumtaz Mahal. I wish you know it. And Taj Mahal building spent not less than 13 years in building and spent more than 11,000 dead victims of the builders. But the king did not make Mumtaz Mahal as his one and only wife. He still had many other wives and concubines. My Majesty, Mother Eve, do you know that you have a daughter named Hillary Clinton? She was the first lady of the United States of America from 1993 to 2001, the wife of an ex-president, Bill Clinton. Trust me, she is very beautiful, gorgeous, powerful, incredible woman in the 21st century. Well, this is inappropriate to tell you, Mother Eve, but okay, I will tell you. In 1996, when I was just 4, there was a very big scandal named Lewinsky scandal, Mother Eve. You have to believe that there are many women like Monica Lewinsky in the world right now. The point is, in our era, being an incredible woman is not enough for men. Mother Eve, where I am? Do you know that your children are doing polygamy, polyandry, affairs, betrayals, cheating each other, and sharing their hearts not only to one person? We fall in love twice, 3 times, 4 times, and countless. Adam is the only man who was falling in love once. And that love is you. So how lucky you are. We have never met you, Mother Eve, but I am feeling you inside us. We all have the soul of yours. When in the Garden of Eden, the serpent, Lucifer, said to you, if you eat the fruits from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, you will be like God. That is why God forbid you to eat it. Then you were a softly kind-hearted. Then you were the first woman in the world who made a decision. Your decision was very logical and smart, but used too much feeling. That was the proof that women are the most intelligent and rational creature and have the sharpest hearts. I am sure if I were you, I would think the same thing. We all remember that initially Adam blamed you when God was angry with you both. But no history mentioned that you were angry to him about that. You had intended to take the fruits for his good, but he blamed you, and you didn't get angry to him. That time you told us not to be angry when men blame us. You showed us how beautiful women when they forgive. The myth is saying that being a mother is a punishment from God for your sin, but I know that it was your choice. Pregnancy and giving birth to babies are your sacrifices to make our existence. Without your decision, we will not ever exist. Well, thank you, Mother Eve, for showing us that women have a very big role of the existence of the world. That women determine the fate of this world. Thank you for awakening us to the feminine consciousness. Thank you for being our mother. Finally, send my greetings to Adam. Say to him, Happy Father's Day, if just he celebrated. That's all, my Mother Eve. I will continue my letter if they invite me again. Thank you. God bless you, Mother. Sincerely, Azri. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Azri. Amazing. So, next we've got the wonderful Sukhjit Kawasa. Sukhjit is a first-generation Australian Sikh spoken word artist and activist. Within a short period, Sukhjit has gone from being a participant in the Australian Poetry Slam competition in 2014 to gracing the stage of Australia's Got Talent in 2016. And most recently, a speaker at the TEDx University of Western Australia. She has performed with notable artists such as Missy Higgins and Elfresh the Lion, and her performances and workshops have led her to travel globally and across the nation. Just a quick note, Sukhjit would prefer if nobody filmed this or audio recorded this one. It's just for the space, it's just for the room, and you're all very lucky to hear what she has to say.
Going.